once we chose the vetted, again, green lighted clearinghouse, that whole deal. Once we chose that curriculum and started implementing it, that's when we could actually start to dig into tier 2 and tier 3. Because prior to that, without having tier 1 in place, I mean, as you know, you can't intervene your way out of a tier 1 problem. So we started having conversations, bigger conversations, about looking at the 80% of students that should be, given, the curriculum is effective, hitting those benchmarks. And if they weren't, we would look at that as a tier 1 problem and start there. So yes. And then in my current district, we are in the process of, they just adopted a high quality tier 1 program last year. So we're in year 2 of implementation, and it's just now this year, granted, I'm throwing some MTSS stuff at them, but it's just now that they have this in place that they feel comfortable doing the work. Because prior to not having the tier 1 in place, there was like no starting point. There was no fidelity, and you couldn't figure out if there was equity across the board, and there wasn't, because there wasn't a tier 1 program in place. You have to have tier 1 in place. It's a necessity before you move into tier 2 and tier 3. And then it, again, allows us the actual opportunity to dig into where the instructional gaps lie, and they're true instructional gaps at that point, because you can ensure that they're all getting a high quality curriculum for tier 1. So the second piece of that for me, which was definitely a lesson learned in my former district, is exactly that if you're in year 1 or 2 of implementation, it's not fair to staff to start looking at tier 2 or tier 3, because we're not there yet, and you can't focus on all 3 tiers and do a good job at it.